There is a particular kind of loneliness that few people ever talk about, and it is not the loneliness of being physically alone. It is the loneliness of sitting in a crowded room and still feeling disconnected. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by family, friends, co-workers, and familiar faces, while carrying a quiet sense that something inside you remains unseen. Many people who walk a different path have experienced this feeling for years. They have spent entire seasons wondering why they never seem to fit naturally into places where everyone else appears comfortable. They have learned how to smile, participate, contribute, and even succeed. Yet deep inside there remains a persistent feeling that they are somehow standing on the outside looking in. If this has been part of your journey, then understand something important. Your experience is real, your feelings are valid. The weight you have carried deserves acknowledgement. You may have spent years questioning yourself because of this feeling. You may have wondered whether something was wrong with you. You may have compared yourself to others who seem to move effortlessly through relationships, communities, and social circles, while you quietly struggled to find where you truly belonged. Yet some of the most compassionate, resilient, and deeply thoughtful people have walked through exactly this kind of experience. The feeling of not belonging does not automatically mean you are broken. Sometimes it means you are becoming aware of something deeper than surface-level acceptance. Sometimes it means your spirit longs for authenticity in a world that often settles for appearances. Many people learn how to adapt so well that they lose sight of who they really are. They become experts at fitting in. They learn how to say the right things, wear the right mask, and meet the expectations of everyone around them. Yet there are others who struggle with this because something within them keeps searching for something genuine. They cannot easily silence the part of themselves that longs for deeper meaning. They cannot comfortably pretend to be someone they are not. Because of that, their path often feels more isolated. They may be misunderstood. They may be labeled as distant, different, quiet, serious, or difficult to read. Yet beneath those labels often lives a heart that has simply been searching for a place where it can exist without pretending. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. While others saw your calm exterior, they did not see the internal battles. They did not see the moments when you questioned your worth. They did not see the nights when you wondered why meaningful connection felt so difficult to find. They did not see how often you encouraged others while secretly needing encouragement yourself. They did not see how much energy it took to continue showing up when your heart felt tired. One of the most painful parts of this journey is that it often begins early. Some people remember feeling different as children. They remember sensing things deeply. They remember noticing details that others ignored. They remember caring intensely about fairness, kindness, and truth. They remember feeling out of place even before they had words to explain why. Over time, experiences of rejection can deepen that feeling. Disappointments accumulate. Relationships end. Trust is broken. Invitations stop coming. Efforts go unnoticed. Gradually, a person begins to wonder whether they will ever truly belong anywhere. Yet what feels like evidence against your value is often evidence of your uniqueness. Not every path was designed to look like everyone else's. Not every life unfolds according to the same timeline. Not every person is called to follow the crowd. Some people are shaped through seasons of solitude because solitude teaches lessons that comfort never could. Solitude reveals strength. Solitude reveals character. Solitude reveals the difference between approval and purpose. Many of the qualities you possess today were formed in seasons you never would have chosen for yourself. The patience you have developed came through waiting. The wisdom you carry came through disappointment. The compassion you show others often grew out of your own pain. The resilience that keeps you moving forward was forged during moments when giving up would have been easier. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. There were days when you carried responsibilities while your heart was breaking. There were mornings when you got out of bed despite feeling emotionally exhausted. There were seasons when nobody seemed to understand what you were carrying, yet you continued anyway. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. The world often celebrates visible success, but there are unseen victories that deserve just as much recognition. Choosing hope when discouragement surrounds you is a victory. Remaining kind after being hurt is a victory. Continuing to believe that your life has meaning during difficult seasons is a victory. Refusing to let bitterness define you is a victory. These victories may not receive applause, but they matter deeply. One reason many people who feel chosen struggle with belonging is because they often see beyond surface-level interactions. They crave sincerity. They long for conversations that reach beneath appearances. They desire relationships built on honesty rather than convenience. Because of this, shallow connections rarely satisfy them. They may have many acquaintances, yet still feel alone. They may be known by many people while feeling truly understood by very few. This can create profound emotional fatigue, yet it also reflects a beautiful quality within them. Their heart was created for depth. Their spirit recognizes that human connection becomes meaningful when masks come off and authenticity begins. There is also another truth worth considering. Sometimes God allows certain seasons of separation, not as punishment, but as preparation. This does not mean every hardship is a divine lesson. It simply means that difficult seasons can produce growth that comfortable seasons cannot. Throughout life, many people discover that their periods of greatest transformation occurred during moments when they felt isolated. Those seasons forced them to develop inner strength. Those seasons taught them to trust their own voice. Those seasons revealed that their worth did not depend on constant validation from others. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. He saw the prayers spoken quietly in empty rooms. He saw the disappointments you never shared. He saw the courage it took to keep believing when circumstances gave you little reason to feel hopeful. Even when you felt forgotten, you were not forgotten. Even when you felt unseen, you were seen. Even when you questioned whether your life mattered, your story continued to carry purpose. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Perhaps you have spent years measuring yourself through the lens of belonging. Perhaps you believed that if enough people accepted you, then you would finally feel complete. Yet acceptance from others can never fully heal wounds that require deeper restoration. Lasting peace comes when you begin recognizing your value independent of public recognition. Your worth is not determined by how many people understand you. Your worth is not determined by how many invitations you receive. Your worth is not determined by how many people celebrate your presence. Your worth exists because you possess inherent value that no rejection can erase. The people who overlooked you did not diminish your significance. The opportunities that passed you by did not erase your potential. The seasons of loneliness did not invalidate your purpose. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. In fact, many people eventually discover that the very experiences they once wanted, removed from their lives, became the foundation of their greatest strengths. The loneliness taught empathy. The rejection taught resilience. The waiting taught patience. The uncertainty taught faith. None of those experiences felt pleasant while they were happening, but each contributed something valuable to the person you are becoming. The road may have been difficult, but difficulty is not the final chapter. There is hope ahead. There are still meaningful connections waiting to be formed. There are still people capable of appreciating the depth, kindness, and strength that you carry. There are still moments of belonging that have not yet arrived. Most importantly, there is still purpose unfolding within your life. Not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every tear was wasted. Not every season of loneliness was meaningless. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward, even on your darkest days. That strength is still present. It has carried you this far, and it will continue carrying you through whatever comes next. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. If this message spoke to your heart and reminded you that your value does not depend on where you fit in, subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving encouragement rooted in faith, healing, purpose, and hope. Sometimes the journey toward belonging begins by remembering that you were never forgotten, and there may be future messages that help strengthen that truth within you even more. There comes a moment in the life of many people who have spent years feeling different when they stop asking why they never seem to belong and begin asking what those experiences were teaching them. That shift does not happen overnight. It usually arrives after countless disappointments, after expectations have been broken enough times that the soul grows tired of chasing acceptance. For many years, you may have believed that the answer was somewhere outside of yourself. You may have thought that the right group, the right relationship, the right environment, or the right opportunity would finally remove the ache you carried. Yet no matter where you went, the feeling seemed to follow you. New places brought temporary excitement, but eventually the same questions returned. New relationships brought hope, but eventually the same distance appeared. New beginnings arrived, but the familiar feeling remained. It was as though something inside you could not fully settle. That experience can be deeply exhausting because it creates the impression that peace is always just beyond reach. Yet what if the feeling itself was never meant to convince you that you were lacking? What if it was slowly guiding you toward a deeper understanding of who you are? Many people spend their entire lives trying to become acceptable to others. They adjust their personalities, suppress their opinions, hide their wounds, and ignore their instincts because they fear rejection. They learn how to blend in. They become experts at earning approval. Yet the cost of constant approval seeking is often the loss of authenticity. Over time, a person can become so focused on fitting in that they lose connection with their own identity. Those who never fully belong often face a different challenge. Their struggle is painful, but it can also become a gift. Because they never fit comfortably into every expectation placed upon them, they are eventually forced to discover who they are beneath those expectations. They learn to listen to their own heart. They learn to recognize their own values. They learn to trust their own convictions. They learn that peace cannot be built upon pretending. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were moments when you gave your energy to people who never appreciated it. There were seasons when you offered support while carrying your own invisible burdens. There were times when you showed compassion to those who never returned the same care. Yet despite the disappointments, something inside you continued choosing kindness. That is not weakness. That is evidence of strength. The world often confuses gentleness with fragility, but genuine kindness requires enormous courage. It is easy to become hard after being hurt. It is easy to become cynical after being disappointed. It is easy to stop caring after being overlooked. Continuing to care despite those experiences reveals a depth of character that cannot be measured by external recognition. The people who feel they belong everywhere sometimes take belonging for granted. The people who have struggled to find it often develop a profound appreciation for genuine connection. They understand the value of being truly seen. They understand the power of encouragement. They understand how much a simple act of understanding can change someone's day. Because they have experienced loneliness, they often become the people who notice loneliness in others. Because they know what rejection feels like, they often become more compassionate. Because they understand pain, they become capable of offering comfort. Some of the strongest people in the world develop their strength this way, not through applause, not through constant success, not through easy circumstances. Their strength emerged from adversity. It emerged from seasons when they had no choice except to keep moving forward. It emerged from experiences that forced them to grow roots deeper than public approval. The world tends to celebrate visible achievements, but many of the most important transformations happen quietly. They happen in moments nobody photographs. They happen during prayers spoken in private. They happen during ordinary days when a person chooses perseverance despite discouragement. They happen when someone refuses to surrender their hope. You may not realize how much growth has already taken place within you. When you compare yourself to others, it is easy to focus on what you think you lack. It is easy to overlook how far you have come. Yet consider everything you have survived. Consider every challenge that could have broken you. Consider every disappointment that tested your faith. Consider every setback that forced you to begin again. The fact that you are still here matters. The fact that your heart still desires meaning matters. The fact that you continue searching for growth matters. These are not small things, they are evidence of resilience. There are people who see their difficult seasons as proof that something went wrong. Others eventually recognize those seasons as chapters that prepared them for future purpose. The difference lies in perspective. When pain is happening, it rarely feels meaningful. When loss is happening, it rarely feels productive. When loneliness is happening, it rarely feels purposeful. Yet time often reveals connections that were invisible in the moment. Many people later discover that the very experiences they once wished away became essential parts of their story. The challenges increased their wisdom. The setbacks deepened their compassion. The waiting strengthened their faith. The loneliness taught them how to stand independently. God has a way of working quietly in places where human eyes cannot see. While people focus on visible outcomes, He often focuses on internal transformation. While people measure success through external achievement, He frequently develops character through unseen processes. There may have been seasons when it seemed that nothing was happening, yet beneath the surface, growth was occurring. Lessons were being learned, strength was being built, wisdom was being formed, healing was beginning. Sometimes the greatest evidence that God has not forgotten you is not found in dramatic miracles, but in the simple reality that you are still moving forward. You are still here. You are still growing. You are still becoming. There is something powerful about recognizing that your life does not need to resemble someone else's in order to have meaning. Comparison has robbed countless people of peace. It convinces them that they are behind. It convinces them that they have failed. It convinces them that they are missing something everyone else possesses. Yet every life unfolds differently. Every journey contains unique lessons. Every person faces challenges that others cannot fully see. Your path was never supposed to be an exact copy of another person's path. Your experiences have shaped you in specific ways. Your story contains lessons that belong to you. Your struggles have developed strengths that are uniquely yours. When you stop measuring your value through comparison, you create space for gratitude. You begin noticing strengths that were previously hidden. You begin appreciating progress that once seemed insignificant. You begin recognizing that your journey has meaning, even when it differs from expectations. This realization does not erase loneliness instantly. It does not remove every painful memory. It does not guarantee that every future relationship will be easy. Yet it provides something incredibly valuable. It provides freedom. Freedom from constantly trying to earn worth. Freedom from endlessly seeking approval. Freedom from believing that belonging must be achieved before peace can exist. True belonging begins within. It begins when you stop treating yourself like an outsider. It begins when you acknowledge your own value. It begins when you recognize that your experiences, your strengths, your scars, and your story all deserve respect. The people who matter most will not require you to become someone else. Genuine connection is built through authenticity, not performance. The right people will appreciate your depth rather than fear it. They will value your kindness rather than exploit it. They will recognize your heart rather than overlook it. Those connections may take time, but meaningful things often do. In the meantime, remember this: God has not forgotten you. The years of struggle were not invisible to Him. The prayers spoken through tears were not ignored. The moments when you felt abandoned were not moments when you were actually alone. His presence often remains steady, even when circumstances feel uncertain. There is hope ahead that you cannot fully see today. There are blessings that have not yet arrived. There are conversations that have not yet happened. There are friendships that have not yet formed. There are opportunities that have not yet appeared. Your current chapter is not the entire story. You are more than your loneliness. You are more than your disappointments. You are more than the moments that made you question your worth. You carry strength, wisdom, and value that no season of rejection can erase. If these words encouraged you and reminded you that your journey still holds purpose, subscribe to the channel and continue walking this path with others who are seeking faith, healing, growth, and deeper meaning. Sometimes the greatest encouragement comes from being reminded that you are not walking through these experiences alone. Perhaps one of the hardest truths to accept is that belonging does not always arrive in the form we expect. Many people spend years imagining that one day they will finally discover the perfect place, the perfect community, or the perfect relationship that instantly removes every feeling of isolation. They believe that once that moment arrives, every wound will heal and every question will disappear. Yet life is often more complex than that. Even people who are deeply loved sometimes experience loneliness. Even people surrounded by supportive relationships sometimes wrestle with feelings of disconnection. The human heart carries longings that cannot be completely satisfied by external circumstances alone. This is why some of the most successful, admired, and connected individuals still struggle internally. They achieved what they thought would finally make them feel complete, only to discover that the deeper work remained unfinished. The people who feel chosen often encounter this realization earlier than others. Because they never fully settle into shallow forms of belonging, they are pushed toward deeper questions. They begin searching for meaning beyond popularity. They begin searching for purpose beyond achievement. They begin searching for peace beyond approval. At first, this search can feel frustrating. It can feel unfair. It can feel lonely. Yet over time, many discover that it leads them towards something more lasting than temporary acceptance. It leads them toward a stronger relationship with themselves, a deeper understanding of their purpose, and a more authentic connection with God. Looking back, you may be able to identify moments that once seemed meaningless, but now reveal their value. There may have been relationships that ended painfully, but ultimately protected you from becoming someone you were never meant to be. There may have been opportunities that disappeared, even though you desperately wanted them. At the time, those losses felt devastating. Yet later they revealed hidden blessings. There may have been periods when doors closed and you could not understand why. Yet those same closed doors redirected your path toward experiences that shaped your growth. Life often makes more sense in reflection than it does in the moment. This does not mean every hardship was easy or pleasant. It simply means that meaning can emerge from difficulty. Strength can emerge from struggle. Wisdom can emerge from pain. You have survived things that once felt impossible. There were moments when you believed you had reached your limit. There were nights when exhaustion settled deep into your spirit. There were disappointments that seemed too heavy to carry. Yet somehow, step by step, day by day, you continued moving forward. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Many of your greatest battles were invisible. The world saw your responsibilities, your routines, and your accomplishments, but it did not always see what was happening inside. It did not see the fears you fought. It did not see the doubts you challenged. It did not see the tears you wiped away before facing another day. It did not see the prayers whispered when nobody else was listening. Yet those hidden moments mattered. Those private victories mattered. Those quiet acts of perseverance mattered. In many ways, they reveal the deepest parts of your character. There is a unique strength that develops when a person continues showing up despite disappointment. There is a unique wisdom that develops when a person continues believing despite uncertainty. There is a unique compassion that develops when a person refuses to let suffering make them bitter. These qualities cannot be purchased. They cannot be inherited. They are forged through experience. They are developed through endurance. They are strengthened through faith. You may sometimes look at your life and focus on what has not happened yet. You may focus on opportunities you missed, relationships you lost, or dreams that remain unfulfilled. Yet there is another perspective worth considering. Look at everything you have gained through the journey. Look at the resilience that now exists within you. Look at the empathy you offer others. Look at the wisdom you carry. Look at the strength that emerged from seasons you never would have chosen. These gifts may not always be visible, but they are real. They have become part of who you are. One of the most beautiful transformations occurs when a person stops viewing themselves as rejected and begins viewing themselves as refined. Rejection suggests a lack of value. Refinement suggests growth. Rejection suggests abandonment. Refinement suggests preparation. Rejection suggests an ending. Refinement suggests a process. The experiences that made you feel unwanted did not determine your worth. The experiences that made you feel overlooked did not diminish your value. They simply became part of a larger story that is still unfolding. God often works through processes that require patience. While people naturally desire immediate answers, growth frequently happens gradually. Healing unfolds layer by layer. Understanding arrives step by step. Purpose becomes clearer over time. Looking back, you may discover that some of the delays that frustrated you were actually opportunities for preparation. Some of the waiting that exhausted you was building endurance. Some of the uncertainty that challenged you was strengthening your faith. This does not mean every unanswered question will receive a complete explanation. Some mysteries remain. Some disappointments leave lasting scars. Yet even scars tell stories of survival. They remind us that pain did not have the final word. They remind us that healing is possible. They remind us that life continued. There is hope in recognizing that your future does not need to be controlled by your past. The loneliness you experienced does not have to define the years ahead. The rejection you endured does not have to determine your identity. The disappointments you faced do not have to shape your destiny. You are allowed to move forward carrying wisdom instead of wounds. You are allowed to grow beyond old fears. You are allowed to believe that meaningful things still await you. Some people spend so much time grieving what they lost that they struggle to recognize what is still possible. Yet possibility remains alive. New relationships remain possible. New opportunities remain possible. New chapters remain possible. Healing remains possible. Joy remains possible. Peace remains possible. The story is not finished. The difficult seasons were chapters, not conclusions. They shaped you, but they do not define the entirety of who you are. Deep within you exists a strength that has been proven repeatedly. It carried you through heartbreak. It carried you through uncertainty. It carried you through loneliness. It carried you through moments when you doubted yourself. That same strength remains present today. It has not disappeared. It has not abandoned you. It continues to grow. It continues to support you. It continues to remind you that your life possesses meaning beyond what any difficult season tried to convince you otherwise. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not without purpose. Your kindness matters. Your faith matters. Your endurance matters. Your story matters. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. The moments that made you feel different helped develop qualities that many people spend a lifetime searching for. The path has not always been easy, but you have traveled farther than you realize. And as you continue forward, remember that true belonging begins when you embrace the value God already placed within you, long before anyone else's opinion ever had the chance to speak. If this message brought comfort to your heart and reminded you of the strength, purpose, and hope that still live within you, subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving encouragement for your journey of faith, healing, and personal growth. May every message help you remember that your life has meaning, your story has value, and you were never meant to walk this path without hope.